Hi friends, today is April 22nd and today is Earth Day. Earth Day is a day that we set aside to promote awareness and appreciation for our Earth. And it's important to take care of our Earth by reducing, reusing, recycling, making sure we clean up after ourselves. And especially since we're all spending a lot of time at home and we're spending more time outside in our yards and stuff, it's important to make sure we take care of our earth and our yards and everything around us. So, a movie that I would typically show in school, and we would do arts and crafts with it and everything, is The Lorax. And The Lorax is a great story because he speaks for the trees, so he's speaking for the earth, and he wants everybody to take care of it, and he doesn't want to cut down the trees. And it's a really good story if you get a chance. I don't have it home from school with me, but on Google Classroom, there is a link to the video. So today, to go along with the Lorax, we're going to make truffula trees. Now, what you're going to need are scissors, one paper plate, a popsicle stick, tissue paper or construction paper or any kind of colored paper. You don't need to use a whole lot, like I'll probably use a quarter of a sheet of tissue paper. And you're going to need markers and glue. So what I'm going to do first, and maybe mom or dad could help you, is I'm going to cut out the paper plate to a smaller circle. So it's not so big and flimsy if we attach it to the popsicle stick. So if you look on a paper plate, there's usually a circle in the flat part, and you can go ahead and use that as a guide to cut out your circle. So once you cut out your circle, I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to take my tissue paper, and I chose to have a blue tree. And what I'm going to do is, depending on how well your child can rip paper, you want to give them either a larger piece or a smaller piece. If they have a harder time, give them a smaller piece. And we're going to work with 2 pincer grasps on either side and pull in opposite directions to rip. Once we ripped, we can crush it up, and I'm going to glue it onto my circle. So I'm going to put the glue in just a dot on the paper plate, and I'm going to place my tissue paper, my crunched up tissue paper, right on top. I don't want to put glue all over the plate or else it'll dry by the time I get to that part. And we're just going to repeat that until the paper plate is filled. So again, you take tissue paper, probably even be a smaller piece. You can probably cut it into strips if your child has a harder time ripping paper. So 1 pincer grasp, 2 pincer grasps, and rip in opposite direction. We're going to crumple it up and glue. Remember, just a dot, not a lot. And you want to make sure that you're filling the whole paper plate, so we don't want it just splotches all over. We want it to look like a truffula tree. So we're going to make sure we cover every piece. So when we put a new piece on, we're going to make sure it's touching the last piece that we put on. And they can go in as going in across, or they can go around the edges, whatever works for them, as long as they're ripping, crunching, and then gluing. And you're just going to fill it up. Now I want to make sure that you guys are crunching it up, right? We use all our fingers to crunch it up. You got to work on that fine motor and put it on. So we're not going to lay flat pieces on there. We're going to rip, crunch with all our fingers, and then glue it on until it's all filled. Now, a lot of the times when we're working on this activity in school, our kiddos just want to pull it, and it's not going anywhere. So it's important that they rip in opposite directions. If a pincer grasp is still something that they're currently working on, a whole hand working in opposite directions will have them rip the paper. But ultimately, we do want them to get that pincer grasp. But if that's still something that they're working on, a full hand grasp is fine. The important thing is to pull in opposite directions, and they may need hand over hand prompting for that as well. Now you'll see mine is pretty much finished, but I can still see some white. So what I'm doing is I'm going around the edges and just putting on extra pieces to give it that truffle-a-tree effect, where it's kind of big and bushy. And if your kiddo is still working on attending to a task or following directions, something you can do is have them just put it on. So they rip, you glue, and then they can put it on. That's something that we'll do in school. If a kiddo is having trouble attending to the task, instead of completing all the steps, we'll take turns completing the steps, so then that way they can attend a little bit easier. And there you go. So we're gonna go ahead and let that dry. While that's drying, I'm going to take a popsicle stick and a marker. Warning, this may get a little messy, so maybe put newspaper or something down. And I am going to use a blue marker and an orange marker to give it that Dr. Seuss-y feel. So they can choose one color or two colors, and what I'm going to do is just color stripes right across. Now it might be difficult for some of our kids to hold it up and color, so what you can do is lay it on a table. So they can lay it on the table. I went ahead and used my extra tissue paper that I didn't use and just color. Now they may need you to hold the stick still for them, because as you can see, as you color along, it gets moved around. So they may need you to hold that for them so they can color. If they do have a tough time with this, they can just go ahead and use one color and just go crazy. They can just go at it. And again, I'm only going to color one side. We don't need to color both sides. But see, it could get a little bit messy, so you might want to have something underneath. At school, we don't really care. As long as they're having fun and learning, we welcome the mess. And what I'm actually going to do with mine is I'm going to leave a little bit undone at the end, so I have something to grab it by so my fingers don't get stained. As you can pretty much well know, we come home with stained fingers a lot from school. So I'm going to take my popsicle stick. The part that I did not color is going to go behind the truffle-a-tree anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the glue stick on the popsicle stick and then push it onto the tree topper. Now, a glue stick may not hold it as well, so you may need to support it with tape or liquid glue if you have that. Glue stick is all I have at home, so that's what we're going to use. I may have tape. So I found some tape, but really you should be able to let it dry and it should hold it. But if your child is one to make something and then carry it around with them to show everybody, you might want to support it with tape. So, but the glue stick should work. And there we go. We have our truffle-a-tree from the Lorax. All right, my friends, I hope you have a really great Earth Day. It's supposed to be nice out today, so I hope you get outside. Have a good one. Bye.